Hello, UNI Panther fans and Overwatch fans alike. Welcome to week 4 of the NECC regular season. Tonight, your 1 and 2 UNI Panthers from Cedar Falls, Iowa, will play against the Washtenaw Community College Wolfpack from Ann Arbor, Michigan. Thank you for joining us on your Friday night. My name is Hunter, and working double duty tonight is Bill. So thank you for working production and potentially highlighting and casting, maybe potentially. As tonight, Joe is unavailable, out to sickness. Sickness is plaguing a lot of us, but it will not prevent us from having an excellent game of Overwatch, where you and I, coming off of a very interesting and strong win against Louisville Red last week, going 3-0, where beforehand, of course, Power 4 schools do Power 4 school things, as the Indiana Hoosiers and the Iowa State Cyclones, taking them out 0-3 and going 1-3. So really exciting to see how tonight is going to play, as you and I will have Totoro, Unlasting, Roadkill, Claps, XNL, and on the bench for support is the support Brookbear, where the Wolfpack Gold will have Split, Jake the Dog, Silk Moon, Ostel, and Capybaras. So going to be exciting to see how that is going to play out, as currently on our second channel, on UNI_Panthers_Esports 2, the UNI Purple team is playing against Briarcliff Chargers in Rocket League, and they are currently winning that series 2-1. So an exciting matchup. While we're getting ready here, if you want to go ahead and watch with no commentary that matchup, it's going to be on our second channel. For those of you who want to support the club, go ahead and do !merch. That'll take you to our Guardian Pro line, where we have t-shirts, hoodies, and a fully customizable jersey for $50. So if you want something for a gamer in your life and support the club, go ahead and go to our Guardian Pro line.
Now, Hunter, it feels just a little weird to not hear that come from Joe.
Honestly, I don't know how to feel, because I don't know how to do the !_, collections dash, northern dash, Iowa, or whatever he does.
He does it so good, and he's so consistent with it every time. I don't know how he does it.
Absolutely. Also, how are you doing tonight, Bill?
I am doing good. Just got home from work. As I said, pulling double duty, and it's even harder when you don't have two monitors.
Oh, that is very difficult, isn't it? So you're working production on just one monitor. That's difficult.
Yeah, I keep saying that I need to buy a second monitor, and then I never do. I keep shooting myself in the foot, and I just need to bite the bullet one of these days.
See, and then I'm sitting here thinking I got it good, because I got 3 monitors, and how I got my setup is I got I got the main picture on my main screen, then I got Twitch on the other screen along with the rule set, and then I got everybody's wins and losses on the other screen. So it's I got a full setup going, and you're just working on one monitor.
Meanwhile, what people don't know is that every week I run this stream on one monitor.
That's wild. How many screens does Joe have? Do you know, Bill?
He has 2.
Ah, how exciting. So is there anything that you're looking forward to tonight, Bill? I know that we have perks enabled, I believe. I think that's cleared for this week. So
do we really? I did not know that they would allow perks so early.
I thought, since it came out last week, they made it like a perk ban this week, or I guess last week, and then this week they're going to allow it, but I'm not entirely sure.
Honestly, that's what I'm looking forward to. I have found that the perk system is honestly probably one of the best things that they have added to the game since Overwatch 2. Coming from someone who's played the game since 2017, I'm not quite OG, but I've been playing for a while.
Yeah.
It feels like it really puts you in a deficit to constantly be counter swapping. Obviously, the counter swap is still there, especially with the tank role, but it really incentivizes you to not do that because the longer you play, the more perks that you unlock, which make your character inherently better in some form. Why would you want to swap off of that when you've got something good going?
Right. I mean, and that's such the interesting thing too, because as described in their roadmap for Blizzard, is that they're going to do player or character bans. And how do you feel about character bans?
I think in its current roster, I wouldn't quite agree with a hero ban. However, I feel once they start adding more characters on a more consistent basis like they had been, I can definitely see it coming into play. Like, in League of Legends, there's just so many characters to choose from on every roster. Like, you kind of have to at that point, but at its current state, especially with the tank role, there's not enough tanks to consider a ban making much sense. That's just my personal opinion. Especially when you see a game like League where there are so many characters on so many different roles.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. However, I do feel like, and this is just my personal opinion, that the bans make Overwatch so much more interesting, kind of like how with League, it's like, well, we always ban this character because they're overpowered. And I feel like that's a breath of fresh air. So we'll kind of see how that kind of plays out. I do feel like that's necessary because, as you know, I am a Zarya hater, and I've been a Zarya hater since day one. And if I can insta-ban Zarya every game, I'm gonna be feeling okay about that.
See, and now that hurts me personally. As a person who played Zarya mainly for far too long in my Overwatch career, but also not long enough. I love Zarya.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, so we're going to be opening up here on Control at Nepal. How do you feel about Nepal, Bill?
I've got mixed feelings. Some of the maps are some of my favorite. Like, this map that we're looking at specifically right now is one of my favorite maps in the game. However, when we roll over to that stupid bell point in the middle, bane of my existence. Why is it so hard to push once you've already captured? You know, like, the enemy team has it. How am I getting up there?
Yeah, that's fair. I do like this map too because of the environmental kill that you can kind of get.
She's a natural leader.
Right there on point, which I think that's also why Ilios is such a fun map to play.
I expected a lot more tantrums.
Hopefully we can see some environmental kills here on map 1. And on Lasting, already starting off with the small Swedish man of Torbjorn. I love this pick.
I love every time that he picks Torb. It makes me just a little giddy to see the little Swedish man on the board.
Absolutely. Off the initial start, Roadkill going to go ahead and play the Hazard, which Hallery has that in his back pocket. Of course, last week we saw XNL with the start. And hopefully kind of get this here as he's going to go ahead and initially dive in, be on point as point slowly begins to unlock. Jake, the dog, trying to apply that pressure, get the first pick. Going to go away, and UNI going to have to retreat a little bit. First percentage ticks go to Washtenaw.
I'm a little confused here.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, there's just no one on point here, and yet point still seems contested.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting as we see Totoro, Mr. Surflaps, again with those more kitey characters, going to go ahead and play around as Doomraz is able to pick up Happy Baris. Split goes down as well, so Washtenaw down a tank, and Totoro able to get the shot on Jake the dog. And UNI will go ahead and get the first initial ticks for UNI. Also, for those interested in following along, UNI Rocket League is currently winning 2-1 in the series. However, being forced Mr. Surflaps, though, able to get the first initial kills. Roadkill as well, following it up on Jake the dog, and so far the Panthers kind of playing very dominant here early in Nepal. Also gonna go ahead and use Barrage. Oh, go ahead.
No, you're good. I'm still not used to this whole casting thing. I'm still used to running my production in this back little corner for Overwatch. It's a little weird for me. But
Yeah.
I think that Pharah ult was a little too late and yet a little too early at the exact same time. The team wasn't quite back, and yet the team was currently dying as it was happening. It's just unfortunate.
Yeah, just unfortunate as Orbital Ray will come out for Cappy Barbas, as Cappy Barbas is going to go ahead and get taken out. And, you know, I feel like Washtenaw is not playing as cohesive as they maybe need to, especially when you're playing a comp like this, because the Pharah is good for, like, the sustained poke damage on kind of the side flank, but you need to kind of centralize the attack and get people separated out. But however, Jake the Dog is going to get picked out as Kitsune Rush comes out. And Unlasting going to go ahead and use Magma to zone out more as well, as UNI will go ahead and get 87% ticked over during that one.
Now, I love Washtenaw's comp right now. I think it's amazing. However, the only thing that doesn't fit for me is the Pharah. I can definitely see how it works, I just don't see how it works on this map.
As 4 more members of Washtenaw go down, and UNI will go ahead and take the first point in the ball.
Score 1-0.
So what did you like? What didn't you like here, Bill?
As I said, I liked the Washtenaw's comp. I think it has potential to work. Like here, on this map, I can see the Pharah absolutely tearing it up on this map in particular. I just think it was 2 closed quarters for that Pharah to get as much value as I'm sure they wanted, because their comp wants to go fast, and their comp wants to have their Pharah on an off poke where they can just do damage and be, quite frankly, annoying. So I liked it and I didn't like, and that's what I liked and I didn't like about that map, personally.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and go to the next point, and nobody, as they tried to set up the Sim TP, Washtenaw didn't all collectively take the TP together. However, they are going to get to the space they need to first, and UNI going to have to start playing in a little bit of a choke.
Now, I am a little sad to not see that Sim. It was a UNI classic during my heyday on the team. We saw Nepal and we said, we are going Sim and we are sitting point with a Mei, and we were just annoying. So it makes me a little sad to see that swap.
All right, first initial picks are going to come out for Washtenaw, and the Wolfpack going to go ahead and get the first ticks over. As UNI, again, playing a little bit of separated, and maybe this is actually the MO of what first point for Washtenaw was trying to do here is, you know, divide and conquer, and that's essentially what they're doing. And UNI going to have to rethink this one on a re-engage. Of course, we're going to go ahead and get a little contested on point. Nice little pull-in. So you see right there, perks are enabled for this week, Bill.
I have never seen that before. That is definitely something I haven't run into in my game, but it definitely caught me off guard, especially if you're not used to it. That pull-in is not what I was expecting.
Yeah, and in efforts of today's game, Jake the Dog going to go ahead and pick up 3. So 45% ticked over, and Jake the Dog on the Sojourn might be this win condition in point 2. So like I was saying, Bill, it's like in preparation of today's matchup, I listened to all perks being explained just so I knew, and one of the things that stuck out to me was that Pharah pull-in, because it's so different.
That was a little scary on my part. I didn't even know where she was. It jump scared me, and I'm in the production booth running the camera.
All right, and that's going to be the first team kill of the series, as the Wolfpack will go ahead and get it 75% ticked over on a very fat Austral Pharah barrage. And UNI is going to have to swap maybe to some faster characters. It's going to come down to this re-engage here, as UNI is going to go ahead and pop on the top side, 90% ticked over, Austral taking out Doomrat. And here comes Overclock and Kitsune Rush. Some ultimates being committed. It's going to be a fight for a point. Kitsune Rush in response. Overtime ticks over. Austral going to take out 2 members of UNI. And as overtime ticks over, point 2 will will go ahead and be given to Washtenaw.
Score 1.
I really wish that I could take a second to look at some of the perks that they have selected here, because the only way to really see them at its current state is to be on the team, unfortunately.
Yeah, I do, because there's some characters with how you play them is going to change up the composition just a little bit. Of course, we see the hostile kind of dragon, like that would go in big with like a Zarya grab, like do the pull, the concussion pull in, Zarya grab, and then, you know, you could even use the Tracer pulse bomb who has the extended range here. And it just changes so many of the aspects of the game that it breathes a whole fresh, or a whole new breath of fresh air to Overwatch as a game.
Yeah, I definitely haven't played this game as much as I used to. I used to play this game every single day for hours. And now I find this game sitting in my inventory on my PC just taking up space. I've played it so much in the past week since they've dropped perks.
Right, first initial ticks will go in favor of Washtenaw, and the Wolfpack again applying that pressure, but Silkmoon's going to be down low. Roadkill going to rotate around on point. Going to have to play against the Mauga mirror, which is very interesting, as Ostel will go ahead and pick up 2. And this is the effectiveness of why they picked the Pharah here. Of course, maybe it had to come down to on map 1, where you were in that such confined space, that's what caused the issue for Ostel not getting as much value.
See, and that's what I said. That Pharah is just in that confined space. It just wasn't going to work for them. I think they probably, in the future, that's unfortunate. I would say.
Going to go ahead and get the barrage, pick up on Dunrad.
But yeah, as I was saying, in the future, I would maybe consider swapping that Pharah for a Torb on that first point.
Oh, I completely agree. Jake the Dog going to go ahead and get the right click on Unlasting. So UNI playing a little bit out here, as Roadkill is going to go ahead and try to take the space on the right-hand side. And at this point, I feel like you might need to directly counter the Pharah. I don't know. As Kitsune Rush will go ahead and go out. Roadkill is going to be on point. Beat now for Washtenaw. It's going to be a fight on point. 73% ticked over. Totoro's going to be overclocked. And Unlasting's going to go down. Doomrad with the melee. And Mr. Circlap picking up Split. UNI has the advantage. Unlasting able to get the turret shot, and UNI will go ahead and get the first ticks now for them on point 3.
I think UNI either needs to counter the Pharah and counter it hard, or they need to do the opposite and run faster and farther than Washtenaw is currently.
Roadkill gonna go ahead and pop the Mauga ult. Try and zone out on that right-hand side. As Jake the Dog will go ahead and overclock. He's gonna go ahead and press on point. Kitsune Rush comes out. Nice right click on Mr. Circlaps. Gonna have to force out Unlasting, getting that. And Jake the Dog and Ostel able to pick up more members of UNI, as UNI quickly falls, and we're coming down to 1 or 2 re-engages, Bill.
Yeah, this is looking a little scary for UNI. I think they've got 1 engage here as Mr. Circlaps tries to get on point.
I'm gonna have to pop the Bob, try and extend the contest, as we are now ticked into overtime. Map 1 hanging in the balance. Totoro trying to get some headshot clicks on the Sojourn. Can't. Barrage comes out, finds Unlasting. Totoro able to pick up Ostel. Beat in response. We're still ticking into overtime. Split gonna rush out on off a point. Totoro able to pick up Ostel. Doomrad's gonna go ahead and try and warp around on the right-hand side. Can't quite get anything there. Torpedoes, no value. Gonna have to spin around on the ball for Roadkill. Trying to extend. Kitsune Rush on point as well. Split. Mr. Circlaps going down. Roadkill going down. And map 1 will go to Washtenaw Community College.
Sorry, you'll have to excuse me. Running production in between things is a little difficult at times.
What? You're telling me that you're struggling trying to do two roles that is typically built for one role, one person per role?
Some might say that I am. Just a little.
As you can see in that replay, Ostel going ahead and getting a lot of value from the Pharaoh, which is very interesting to see and kind of how this composition kind of came up. But in the end, when you have more space to kind of do what you need and able to kind of pull in, get some of the CC, and just kind of focus fire down as UNI kind of got split up there in the later points. And Washtenaw able to take map 1. For those interested in keeping up with the score of the Rocket League team trying to go undefeated, UNI is currently tied in the series 2-2 with the Briarcliff Chargers. And UNI currently leading game 5 3-1. So really hope that they can continue here. But in the meantime, Bill, did you want to try and do the merch shout out, or are you still doing production thing?
Now, if you want to support your Panthers, go to click !merch or click the link below, and you can go and get all of the Panther Esports merch of your liking, including jerseys that, I don't know if you know, but jerseys are pretty expensive. These jerseys, they're not that expensive in comparison to... Hunter, how much is a jersey going to run you for, say, baseball?
Yeah, well, that's an excellent question, Bill, and especially if you like a team like my team, who currently doesn't have any good players on the team, so all you have is custom options. It's going to be $150.
Woof. $150 is far too much.
Mm-hmm.
A UNI Panther Esports jersey is not even half that. It's less than half of a baseball jersey that you would get for a major league team. Think about that. You would be supporting your fellow Panthers and getting some sweet jersey action.
Yeah, and it's fully customizable.
That too.
So you're not paying a premium where it just comes base customizable. Which I believe it's like your gamer tag or your name and then a number of whatever your choice from, like, I think you could do 00 all the way up to 99.
And that would be good, because I do have a jersey that has my username directly across the back. And my residents at work, they loved it. I would wear it to work. They would say, "Oh my gosh, that jersey's amazing. That could be you."
Also, have you seen the designs of this new jersey? It looks good with, like, the purple and gold with the claw slash, like diagonal slash. Like, it looks clean. I'm gonna be honest, Bill. It's my favorite rendition of the jerseys, in my opinion.
I think it is a great looking jersey. It's not my favorite, given that I do not have this current jersey, and my jersey was the old design that is no longer in function. However, I do still love the new jersey, and I was there for its creation, and I'm just very proud of everything that they've done.
All right, so for those of you following along with the Rocket League team, they continue to stay undefeated, 4-0 on Rocket League for a regular season. So big shout out to the Rocket League team continuing that run. And it looks like here, Bill, we are going to go ahead and we're going to play hybrid, and we are going to play Kings Row. Everyone loves Kings Row, Bill.
I have never been happier in my life to see Kings Row. It has been so long since any of the teams have picked Kings Row. It brings a tear to my eye.
Absolutely. Kings Row, of course, one of the stronger maps. As if I had the historical data, definitely like a higher 50-50. I want to say like a 51-49 in favor of UNI winning this, because Kings Row is such their bread and butter, because they play such a strong kind of brawly comp. And it's going to be interesting with how perks are being played now, how that's going to change up compositions. As we see UNI going to go ahead and have to attack first. So we are going to be switching sides here. And also to note, XNL will be subbing on tank for Roadkill. So UNI going to change it up a little bit here. Of course, interesting to see how that dynamic is going to work out. Of course, the first win for UNI coming in last week, XNL got the start on tank. So going to be interesting how that is going to play. And UNI so far winless against Nepal. And this is the first time this season that they will be playing Kings Row. So what if you're UNI, Bill, and you're playing into, you know, kind of like this Pharah, pseudo Pharah poke, what would you expect to see here? Or what do you want UNI to play here?
With it being Kings Row, I would love to see a Widow. I would relish a Widow. I would give them all of the screen time. Why? Because they've been playing a Pharah. Pharah is one of the easiest characters to hit on a hit scan. Full shade. Sorry. She's the easiest character to hit on a hit scan, especially someone like Widow. She's very predictable. You know exactly where she's going. So I want to see some hit scan. I want to see some Cass. I want to see some Widow. I want to see some Ashe. That's what I personally want to see. And I would love to see a Rhine. However, I know it's not a Rhine meta.
But XNL is a Rhine main.
This
At
is
least
very true.
In my mind, he is. And to agree with your point there, Bill, Unlasting has a really good Hanzo, and a Hanzo would be a good counter, you know, second point into a Pharah. But the biggest issue that you have to deal with, especially as a defender, is working this choke here on the initial point of Kings Row.
This is true. That choke point right up in front of the statue is one of the hardest things to break in this game. But once you're past it, you're good as gold.
Yeah, and of course we typically see that on professional play, is that usually if you can get past that initial choke, the defending team will kind of usually give it up, and then push phase or streets phase is relatively easy, and then it's the third point, which is the most challenging and a lot less in favor for a Pharah play here. But it looks like Ostel is going to go with the Torbjorn.
Which, I guess, I did ask them directly to swap Pharah for the Torb. So, it definitely makes sense. I personally would have picked the Pharah here, but the Torb definitely has its place, and I am very excited to see this Widow actually happening. I called for it, and they did it. Never mind.
Oh, unfortunate there. So
Sad day
go
for me.
ahead, take the soldier. But Unlasting on the Genji. I love a good Genji from Unlasting.
Unlasting's Genji has at times has the chance to be absolutely cracked.
Absolutely. As XNL is going to go ahead and swap onto the Zarya. Going to have to play inside the choke there against Split, which, depending on which kit you pick, Split could have the Javelin or the Shield Barrier like we saw in Overwatch 1. So that's going to be interesting to see which kit is picked there. But off the initial bout, UNI going to go ahead and win the team fight with 3:05 left to play. They're going to go ahead and keep Washtenaw off as Split's going to go ahead and dive in, able to take out Mr. Sir Claps, one member of Healing down. Going to have to fight on point. Doomrat able to take out Split. And UNI will go ahead and secure the capture point. And here we go into Streets phase, Bill.
Now, Streets phase is one of the best and worst parts of this map. You have a good chance to get stuck here, but also a good chance to steamroll through at the exact same time.
I completely agree. And it's going to be how it works these corners, like you see XNL here on your screen. Going to try and work around, and it looks like Split's going to go ahead and go on the Ramatra, which I do like the Ramatra counter into XNL's Zarya, as I believe that's a direct counter to Zarya?
I'm not entirely sure. Ramatra is an enigma in my mind. I don't understand where he fits in.
Graviton Surge finds 4, and Kitsune Rush comes out from UNI. They're going to go ahead and push in through, and Washtenaw is going to have to work out back to the other corner of Streets phase. So really nice engagement there from XNL, who's again trying to go for the high charge. Unlasting now, he's gonna take the blade, he finds one, he's gonna be looking for a second, and he does. Orbital Ray comes out, and it's just going to be Aquamoon. And way to go, Unlasting, like you mentioned, Bill. Unlasting a little cracked on the Genji.
And I'm not sure if you noticed, but that Torb ulted. They no longer have Torb ult, and they have now swapped to the Pharah because of it.
Wow.
Unfortunate for Washtenaw.
Yeah, unfortunate indeed. And the Wolfpack, you know, kind of looking at ultimates here. Still a little bit in command here for the ult economy, but I definitely feel like that could change as just the way that they kind of overcommit ultimates at times, it feels. So maybe something to think about in the back of the mind, as Doomrad's going to go down to half health, going to have to play against Jake the Dog Sojourn. And Doomrad able to go ahead and get the shot from distance. Hostile, who, you know, playing the Pharah, is going to go down.
I love to see a support get a kill. It makes me happy.
I completely agree. Jake the Dog, though, able to take out Totoro. And UNI currently stopped in their tracks here in between corners, as Jake the Dog will go ahead and overclock, trying to find Unlasting. Doesn't quite get there. XNL gonna have to battle him on point. No value from the overclock. Split, though, looking for the Annihilation, and right when I thought he was gonna do that, he wasn't, and he's just creating a lot of space. So really good job here for Split being the effect. But now here's Totoro with the overclock. Didn't find any value, but trying to separate this Washtenaw Wolfpack squad. 2:14 left to play. And here's the Annihilation that I thought. Forces UNI to pop the lamp. Unlasting able to take him out, though. So just right when UNI was losing in the econ game, they're winning now. And Unlasting, good for one on the blade.
No, this is looking a little scary for Washtenaw as I'm looking at ult economy. Washtenaw is coming up on 3, whereas UNI already has 3 in the bank.
Here comes Graviton Surge. XNL finding a few members. However, Split's going to be in the back line, kind of messing them up there. Less than 5 meters to push. Orbital Ray comes out for Washtenaw. Hostile going to go ahead and get more value from the barrage, taking out Totoro. And so far, it's going to be a fight on point. Split going to go ahead and do what he does best on the tank and kind of zone out on the point, and UNI is going to go down in that team fight. Less than about 105 left to play in the Streets phase.
This is the point where it starts to get a little scary because you've got 1, maybe 2 pushes if you're fast to try and take this last point. And you need it.
That feels much better.
Absolutely, as XNL, again, playing the Zarya, going to try and take as much space as you can. However, you don't want to get separated from your tank, especially this late. 90% charge, lamp, window. XNL goes down, and this is exactly going wrong for UNI. Less than 30 seconds to play, as Doomrad is going to be taken out by Jake the Dog as well. So UNI going to go ahead and get staggered and split, and Hostile and a whole host of UNI members going down. 15 seconds left to play. This is not what you want to see, Bill.
My ultimate is charging.
Yeah, definitely not, especially going into that first push. The tank got separated, as you said. XNL just cut off entirely, and then the rest falls from there.
XNL trying to swap for the Diva for the little extra sustain. Can't quite get it done. Overtime takes over, and Split on the Annihilation finds 2. And we know what the distance is for Washtenaw.
0.
It was unfortunate. At a certain point, I think you said that they had 5 meters to push, and they lost it from there.
Initiating match.
An unfortunate circumstance to be in, but definitely recoverable.
Yeah, if you can get a good, strong defense, maybe win 1 or 2 team fights. Love to see Unlasting on the Torbjorn on the defense here. If they can get 1 or 2 holds and then essentially hold this choke point that you currently have on screen, Bill, I feel like this might be the win condition for UNI if they want to go ahead and tie the series 1-1.
Ready for
However, the series lead is currently in favor of the Wolfpack.
I think if they want to hold this, I think they need to hold this first point right here, as you mentioned, or if I turn my camera just to the right here, this corner to be specific.
All right, compositions come out. Bill, what do you think?
I think that the Sigma is a smart move. They don't know what Washtenaw is thinking here. They don't know what they're gonna do, but they're probably gonna run
This is London, huh?
the
I've seen fancy.
I forgot his name. The robot guy. They're gonna run the robot guy.
Ramatra.
Thank you. They're gonna run the Ramatra again, so you probably want to be on someone like Sig. I think it's a good swap.
1. Attacker.
Yeah, and of course, Jake the Dog swapping to the Hanzo, so a whole different look for both these teams. Totoro going on the Ash, and lasting on the Soldier. That's pretty unique. As we see the first initial hold, XNL cycling through some of the abilities, gets the rock on split. Who's going to be purple? Has to work around that corner. Swaps to. I guess I forget what that mode is where you go in and do the punching.
That is a good question. I do not know
Well,
the answer for that.
We will figure that out at a later date. However, he is going to swap to that mode and go ahead and push on point. Hostile, who is, again, trying to be that pressure, able to go ahead and Jake the Dog taking out on lasting. Suzu forces out for Mr. Circlap. Has to TP out of that. Doomrat able to pick up 1. However, Split's taking out Mr. Circlaps. Totoro on your screen. It's a 1v1 and Jake the Dog's gonna go ahead and get it done with the Sonic Dart. Oh, and he's good for 2.
That was some crazy movement that I just saw that around that corner from Jake the Dog.
Yeah, Jake the Dog able to go ahead and get it done on the Hanzo. So hit scan in favor for Jake the Dog.
Objective A captured. Escort.
Did you notice that when Hanzo gets his perk, he now has Scatter Arrow back?
Are we just playing Overwatch 1 again?
Oh, I can hope.
I play better in Overwatch 1 because that was also my time. Unlasting able to take out Jake the Dog, and UNI is going to have to hold it here in this little choke. It's going to come down to the tank play here as XNL is going to go ahead and be aggressive on the defense, trying to split out Ramatra. And the mode that we were thinking of is called Nemesis form. So I forgot Nemesis in between this week and last week.
I was about to
Great
start
Grenade
calling
comes
it.
out.
Yeah, I was about to start calling it going big mode.
Going big mode. Blizzard, I have a petition. As we see Gravitic Flood comes out for XNL. He does find 1, however, he pays for it in the end, and just kind of separating out UNI as XNL goes down. Split picking up 2 off the initial bout. Jake the Dog able to take him out as well. And with less than 4 minutes to push it, only about 10 to 20 meters, Washtenaw looking very commanding here. Split's going to go ahead and try and take it out. Kitsune Rush initiates for UNI. Barrage comes out, tries to find value, can't, as Unlasting takes out Austin. So 3 meters left to push. Split's gonna have to work. He's gonna go Annihilation. Finds 1. He's gonna be slept. However, he finds 2. Orbital Ray to try and secure it out, and they do. And the Wolfpack able to get it done in Streets phase. Kings Row 2-0. The series lead now for Washtenaw. So what did you like, what didn't you like here from UNI, Bill?
I feel like Washtenaw really set the tempo. They really set that match and the tone. I think UNI needs to get a little more heavy. hot and heavy in the fight, and I think they need to start setting the tempo themselves.
All right, so looking at round 3, it is going to be push. I like push specifically for this current composition of players for UNI. Of course, you have the long sight lines of Colosseo. You kind of have the Brawly favoring Runasapi. What is your thoughts on UNI and push, Bill? You've been here for production all week, so you know what this team's capable of.
It's weird to say, but I honestly think they do some of their best work on push. They've made some of their biggest comebacks on push. And I'm excited to see it, especially if they're able to get Colosseo. I think Washtenaw should be a little concerned, honestly. I think push is becoming UNI Purple's current, I immediately forgot map names. It's been so long.
Colosseo?
No,
Or
map types.
Esperanza? Oh, push? What are you thinking?
Nepal. What's that map type?
Control.
Thank you. I think push is becoming UNI Purple's new control.
Yes. Because normally UNI would play Lijiang Tower, and Lijiang Tower would just print for UNI, racking up these initial wins. And of course, when you had XNL on Gold Team, we typically saw him on the Rhine. Big Rhine player, gets tons of value taking the space there with the hammer. But as we've gone on and as the meta slightly changes and the map pools slightly change, Nepal was kind of interesting, and control has been interesting because usually, like you mentioned, Bill, it's usually in their favor. However, like you've mentioned, push Colosseo might be UNI's best map, arguably.
I think it would maybe be in Washtenaws' best interest to ban it and maybe go something like New Junk City. Not saying that I enjoy seeing New Junk City, just that it might be smart for Washtenaw.
Or do you mean New Queen Street? Because New Junk City is a flashpoint.
Oh, I do mean New Queen Street. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
I'm losing my mind tonight.
It's hard to think of all these names and all these map modes. The only reason why I know this is because I literally have to have the rules pulled up, and you only have one monitor. That's the tough part.
And I'm running production. Somebody save me. And you know what's even worse? I didn't change the scene.
What?
We could have been looking at Winton this whole time over our commentary.
See, your production skills are so strong, Bill, that I love the Winton. It's so pretty.
I made him
And it's saying
20
Go
minutes before stream.
And you say Go Cats, and it says Go Cats.
And we say Go Cats, and you say Go Cats.
We all say Go Cats.
Everybody say Go Cats.
Exclamation point Panthers. Get the fight song going. And maybe UNI can go ahead and start mounting a reverse sweep here. Push, hopefully, and the ban is going to be Runasapi. So we have Colosseo potentially as the pick, and I love this.
I think it would be hilarious if we've been hyping up Colosseo this whole time, just out of nowhere it goes, yeah, let's go New Queen Street.
That would be interesting because of the verticality and just the brawly chaos that is New Queen Street. Oh my gosh, now you got New Queen Street. That I believe that if UNI picks New Queen Street, they're going to play a brawl comp. I want to say Ramatra, maybe JQ. I love XNL's JQ.
I was just thinking I would be very excited to see XNL's JQ, especially on this push.
And what I feel like the current win condition for UNI is maybe taking out Jake the dog because of just the hit scan that you kind of invade the chaos there. Maybe take away Split as we see a role change come out for UNI, as it was unlasting on attack, or excuse me, on DPS. Unlasting's now going to go to support. Also to note, Doomrad going to go ahead and get swapped off the bench for Roadkill. So currently your DPS duo for UNI is looking Mr. Circlaps and Totoro, XNL on the tank, Unlasting, and Roadkill on support. What are your thoughts on kind of this role swap?
My current
Going on
theory is Unlasting. I know he's a Lucio player. I would love to see a Lucio, and I would love to see XNL play a JQ with it. I think they have the potential to, as I mentioned, set the pace, because I think that's just what they need right now, is to set the pace.
Yeah, and I completely agree with that, Bill. I feel like if UNI kind of sets the tone and be aggressive, especially on Colosseo, where you kind of have to win the first team fight, and then after you win the first team fight, the losing team has to then win the next two in order to get ahead. Colosseo is one of those maps, and Push is just one of those map types that typically favors the higher pace of play team. I wouldn't necessarily say Dive is going to work best in Colosseo. However, the pace of play is so important here, Bill. And Mr. Circlaps, who is on our Valorant team, is going to have to, pick up on that DPS role. Typically good with the mechanics, I would say. Going to be interesting to see what he picks, though.
Yeah, I guess I'm thinking of Mr. Circlaps right now, and I'm trying to think of his champion pool, his hero pool, and the only thing that I can think of is, man, this guy plays a lot of Seraphine in League. And that is not the correct game. I cannot think for the life of me what Mr. Circlaps plays in Overwatch. It's been so long.
I would have to agree. So let's theorize that on a moment. So typically in Valorant, he plays as a duelist.
Mhm.
Typically it's Jet and Raze. So in my mind, I'm like, we're going to go hit scan. Okay. Playing this composition, what does that look like? Maybe a Cassidy. Maybe Bastion. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how it's going to first come out.
I'm definitely expecting a hit scan, personally. I also know that he really enjoys playing
Initiating
support, specifically for Kiriko. Unfortunately, we're not seeing him in the support role, so I really give it up to chance.
Yeah. Also, do you want to go ahead and do the merch read again? It feels so lost without Joe doing the merch read.
Where are we on the Overwatch stream without Joe giving us our lovely merch read? I'm going to try and do it the Joe way this time.
Yeah.
If you want to support your Panthers, go to www.guardianproline.com/collection/northern-iowa-panthers-esports and get yourself some merch. Or you can click the link below or type !merch into the chat.
Wow, is he here? I feel like he's here. His presence is here right now, Bill.
I'm channeling his presence.
Oh my goodness.
Maybe it'll summon him.
Maybe.
5, 4,
I don't think
Joe,
so.
if you're out there, no, he's sick. But Joe, if you're out there, we recognize you and we miss you.
We do miss
All
you.
right, so
Come
out
back.
the initial, come back. Please join. Mr. Circlaps is going to go ahead and select the Ashe here on the initial bout, and Oslo going back on the Pharah. Interesting to see how this is going to play out as Totoro, who gets tons of value on the Widowmaker here in Colo, going to have to focus that here as well. And Split going with the ball. Interesting to see the Wrecking Ball come out, and we're just seeing a whole entire new composition here as well. Totoro able to get the initial pick on Silk Moon. Silk Moon, a name who we haven't said yet today, being a nice player for this Washtenaw Community College team. Gonna have to go back and respawn. And off the initial unlocking of the robot, Washtenaw will go ahead and take.
A diva is definitely not what I was expecting from XNL.
Yeah, and I don't know why the Diva pick, maybe as a direct counter to Pharah, but however, you have to continually to harass the Pharah. And if you can't do that successfully, then you might as well swap a Sigma and kind of work against that ball and get some block going and some interrupt. So we're going to see UNI go ahead, win this next team fight, so they're going to have to win the next two if they want to go ahead and push it past the 35 meters. And Silk Moon going to go ahead and try and get some value here. XNL, who's going to be down the mech. I have to think about that as well. Totoro able to finally pick up Osel. However, Osel picking out XNL while he was trying to re-mech. And then Lasting's going down. UNI down their tank, and it shows. Mr. Circlops, though, able to right-click. Headshot on Jake the Dog. However, Split picking up 2. And Roadkill trying to answer in the back line. It's going to be support v support action. And the bot currently sitting right on the neutral zone. However, Split will take out Roadkill. A nice stagger coming out for this Washtenaw Wolfpack.
This is unfortunate for UNI, as I don't think they've ever encountered a ball in these games yet.
No, and ball is interesting kind of play, as there is some value here, especially when you kind of work in the back line like Unlasting on the Zenyatta. That doesn't necessarily have a lot of escape. Mr. Circlops, who used the Bob, able to find one. Unlasting, or excuse me, XNL taking out Jake the Dog. So a little stagger there, and maybe UNI is getting some momentum here. Proximity mines come out for Split. He's going to go ahead and knock in Mr. Circlops. So UNI still down about 15 meters of the push. Going to have to deal with the proximity mine CC, and Jake the Dog right-clicking. XNL down 1. He's going to go ahead and get demeched. Totoro trying to find the answer here on the Widowmaker. Able to get one to go. Osel going down. Gonna have to try and escape here. Oh, go ahead.
No, you're good. I think Split kind of has their number here. He knows what he needs to be doing, and he knows that he's just terrorizing their backline.
Mr. Circlap's gonna go ahead and try and get some healing juice down as Totoro and Roadkill gonna pop their ultimate for UNI. Invincibility, Silk Moon comes out as Jake the Dog goes down. Hostile, Barrage, find one. Good for one. Has to force out Unlasting in the Zenyatta ultimate. Slam down for Split. He's gonna try and escape. He will. Has proximity mines if he wants to use it. But Unlasting and Totoro able to pick up 2 more members of Washtenaw. And UNI, again, trying to secure this robot and get it pushed the distance. And I don't know what you've been seeing about this XNL Diva play, though, Bill, but as a prior kind of tank player, as we see the bomb come out, can't quite get value from the bomb. So, but what do you think of XNL's play so far?
I think he's been doing a really good job when he's able to. As I said, this ball is causing quite a bit of chaos for UNI, but he's doing pretty good at soloing out a target and taking him down. That's what he needs to be doing. However, I think he needs to be focusing a little bit more on this Pharah and a little bit more on peeling for his team as well.
Totoro gonna go ahead and get the sniper shot on Jake the Dog. And UNI gonna have to get on point. They don't, and forward spawn advantage will be in favor of Washtenaw. Of course, Silk Moon does get taken out, so maybe UNI can go ahead and stem the tide as XNL. Here we go, Bill. Like we talked a little bit in between matches, XNL going on the JQ.
And I'm ecstatic for this. I think they should have gone with this from the start. And I think the only thing that would make it better is a Lucio.
Yeah, as we see A Dragon Strike come out from Jake the Dog. Try to CC in front of the robot. Able to get the kill on Mr. Circlaps. Trying to get for 2. Bio Grenade comes out on XNL. Gonna have to work around that as well. Shout. Trying to get the follow-up. XNL getting the Shout combo in. Taking out Austral. So UNI, again, they get about this far, and then they kind of sputter out. So gonna see how they can get around that. As Unlasting, who is absolutely nutty on the Zenyatta orbs, gonna have to pop the Zen ult as XNL takes out Silk Moon. UNI, again, trying to push the distance, maybe get that forward spawn available. Totoro looking for the headshot. Can't quite get there. And XNL able to pick it up. Mr. Circlaps with the orbital ray assist. Able to take out Ana and Capybarabas going down. Split going down as well. So this is exactly a good cycle of ultimates here from UNI. Maybe a little bit overhanded on the commit. However, you get the forward spawn now. But Jake the Dog trying to get the answer here for Washtenaw. Austral able, and he's good for 1 every time Barrage comes out. And just really great Pharah play so far. But as you can see on your screen, less than 22 seconds left to play. UNI currently leading by about a meter. So if they can hold it out for the next 2 minutes, maybe, just maybe, we can get the reverse sweep started.
I think that even though they lost that fight, UNI won, and they pushed it past the point. Washtenaw now has to push it all the way into UNI's advantage to take 1 meter.
Yeah, I'm sensing an overtime potentially, and Totoro back on the Widowmaker. As XNL is going to go for the Zarya, so maybe a direct counter into that front line play. Split now swapping to the Orisa, so it's going to be a battle of the tanks here on the front line. As XNL is going to be fully charged, going to have to work around a hardened Split. And Mr. Circlaps able to take out Totoro, so going to have to deal with a lack of DPS here. Of course, nice purple comes out for Cappy Barabas. Take the Dog again. Also, gonna have Dragon Strike available. Looking to maybe use it here. Oh, it's so tempting as you got UNI not gonna be on point. And Jake the Dog finally used Dragon Strike, taking out Roadkill. XNL goes down as well. It's gonna be pushed to the point. Less than 1 meter. And Washtenaw gonna go ahead and push it the distance. Less than a minute to play.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate for UNI. They had themselves in a really good position, and then Washtenaw just ran them over. Jake the Dog really took control of that play. And he still does.
Yeah, he's still going. Why not? While you're hot, go ahead, get on front. Start taking out the back line. Totoro, though, trying to answer. Mr. Circlaps with the visor. Looking for 1, can't. And UNI, with less than 30 seconds to play, able to take a couple members of Washtenaw down. UNI also going to have 4 ultimates in the next team fight, compared to only 2 for Washtenaw. So maybe this overhanded, like, heaviness of ult cycling that Washtenaw has might come back as we tick into overtime. Totoro going to go ahead and get Vision popped out. That's going to be Roadkill initiating with Orbital Ray. Going to force out Silk Moon. Graviton Surge comes out. XNL and Mr. Circlaps find 2 members. It's going to be just Split as overtime ticks over. Someone has to be mindful of the rope. Up as overtime slowly ticks over. And Washtenaw, in grand fashion, sweeps the Panthers. Very sad.
That is really unfortunate, but we did see the Panthers start to get into their groove there at the end.
Yeah, just unfortunate that Washtenaw, just with their team composition play, kind of coordinated here. And excellent play here at the end by Split, recognizing that you have to kind of play on point. And if you have the Orisa ult kind of in the back pocket, and then you just followed up with Jake the Dog, and you take out 4 members of UNI. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, it was just a really condensed corner for UNI. They were basically, quite literally, backed into a corner. 2 ults on top of them. All they've got is a Zen ult. What can you do?
Absolutely. What can you do? Are we going to do an interview, or are we going to go ahead and call it?
Up to you.
I'm good with calling it because I have dinner plans.
That is fair.
All
We
right.
call it
So
there.
any final thoughts before we go ahead and wrap up?
The only thing I have to say is I think UNI is really starting to find their niche. They're starting to find what they're good at, their team comps, and I'm really proud of them for going out there every week and doing their thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, they're trying to make these things work. Of course, they're also students, so they have to balance being a student and an athlete. So good for them trying to make things work. I know time crunch is a little bit difficult, and trying to get time to play compositions, play certain scenarios. It's very difficult. And like you say, Bill, I agree and just want to echo that maybe they find their niche somewhere. It worked for them well against Louisville. However, didn't work for them tonight. So Washtenaw will go ahead and improve to 3-1 on the season, while UNI will 1-3. Next week, UNI is going to play against SVSU. So Saginaw Valley on the docket. Really excited to see how that matchup is going to play. Whereas Washtenaw will play against Louisville Red. So for Bill, working double duty tonight. So thanks for coming out and helping me cast here, Bill.
I truly do my best casting, but I think I belong in the production booth.
You're perfectly fine. Hopefully we can get Joe in next week, and maybe we'll have video cameras for you. So next week might be a different look in production as well, as Joe and I both have our cameras working and available now. So maybe you get to see our lovely faces. So thanks for Bill working double duty tonight in production. My name is Hunter. UNI losing 3-0 against Washtenaw Community College. Looking forward to see you next Friday at 7 p.m. against SVSU. Thank you, and like always, go Cats.
For the losers bracket, but I have high hopes for these guys. Colin goes to the backboard, double touch, and he gets it.
He's got sight and a good pick. Another good pick. And another. He's going crazy with it.
Oh! That was disgusting.